Wherever and whenever you are. This is the 365 Message Center show, live at or from Virtual MVP Summit, which doesn't look any different, but yeah. Our top feature or headline for today, edit metadata from within the SharePoint document libraries, lists, view web parts. We've got some other stuff to talk about around the messages that we have in the Message Center. Let's roll it. Alright, that's us back. Sorry for the slight disorganization, people. If you saw the live stream I did from Periscope, there's kind of a virtual summit over here, an episode we just created 15 minutes ago over there, and now you're watching the fruits of our labor. Welcome back, everyone. Daniel, how are you today? How's it going?
I'm doing okay. Getting a little bit of stir crazy, but I'm not complaining because there's so many people around the world that are definitely have it harder than I in their situations dealing with this COVID-19, and I think we're trying to settle into the new normal, or the new normal right now, as it were. That really we're hunkering down. I'm self-isolated, as some people are calling it now. Not really going out anywhere, working from home, obviously, but also doing everything here, right? Not doing too much more. And so it's good to talk to you and good to kind of broadcast out, because I think really having social distancing disorder, is that a thing?
I think it is.
I think I'm just going to call it that now, because it's been so long since I've seen in person, seen so many of my friends, including you, sir. And so it's definitely causing interruption. But I hope everyone out there is staying healthy, stay home, do not go out and eat at restaurants and all. I know some people are saying, oh, you should support restaurant. No, you should stay home. They're calling this, what are they saying? Flatten the curve, Darrell.
Yes.
That's what they're saying. Flatten the curve, meaning let's stop the spread right now so we can reduce and get back to the normal afterwards. So
yeah,
stay home, and hopefully we can at this show help you understand what's the changes that are coming to your organization in Microsoft 365.
And some of the changes we did try to address in the weekend. We ran a virtual hackathon to explore what is required, or at least some suggestions about how an organization can prepare to work from home. So we'll drop a link up there in the top right hand corner at some point that will show you where that hackathon is. I think out of that came a lot of really good suggestions, and showed, even modeled the process that you as an organization can break off into teams, start to brush up your team's rollout, how you might create engaging places on your intranet to keep people engaged as we may have to socially isolate and work from home for some time. Quick call out to, we've got Sarah Huzzy and Joanne Klein, Wim SQL, welcome, and a few
That's
others
Arlene.
that are watching. Arlene, hello Arlene. So thank you for joining us in the live chat, and we know some of you are attending Virtual MVP Summit as well. Shall we get into it, mate?
Yes, please.
All right, let's check a few things here. So our first message, I got to say, I was a little confused with some of these things, particularly on the published date as well, because some of them felt like they were repeats or updates, and they were appearing in our feed here. But this is our headline, which is around editing metadata from within SharePoint document libraries and list view web parts MC 206010. Tell us a bit about this, Daniel. I think it is quite significant, isn't it? That it's just making it so much easier to update this content.
Yeah, I think being able to, if those that are in SharePoint know about SharePoint, that when you're looking at a page, for the home page, for instance, you can add a list view on the home page where that's not the list landing page, right? That's the home page. and to giving us this, what this is talking about is giving us the capabilities of editing metadata of that list without having to go into that list, landing page. And so that is, it's really nice. So I can not have to, go here, update this, and then come back to the page and find what I need to and go here, so I can do that all on the page. And I also want to say that I think this will help people understand. People get confused. Hey, I'm looking at this list on the page. This is the list. Right? They look at a SharePoint site page and they go, oh, there's my documents. There's my list. That's where it is. It's contained on this page. So no, that's just a view of that content. So I think, it'll help with that a little bit, because once we get more of that activities of those lists and libraries on when we're working with a page, it won't be as confusing, because they really won't need to really have to go into that list unless they need to, see a different view or something like that. So I think it's very helpful.
I think you're right. Like when experiencing classic SharePoint or SharePoint Yonder before, it was confusing for a lot of people, even when it was embedded document libraries. Go into a page and am I actually in the library, or am I in the list, and am I doing stuff? But it's not as obvious unless you to sort of take a close look that this list is embedded on the page. You have quick links above that, so that's kind of your indication that it is something as a constructed page. And then we have this details pane, which allows us to edit that item.
That's right.
Yeah, so what do I need to do to prepare for this change? Well, you can tell everyone about it. You can update your training, or maybe point people to support.office.com and just trust that training is already up to date and in the Microsoft way of things.
And I like that first sentence. Did we list the number for this?
Yeah.
MC206010. This feature cannot be turned off. So, this is one of those where if you don't like it, tough. This capability will be turned on and you can't turn it off. Yep.
But if you only have view access to the list, you click on, you can't edit it, but I guess it would just open up an empty details pane.
Maybe in just view only.
Maybe just showing the details. Cool. What do we got next? We have an updated feature, Forms Activity Reports, and Microsoft Admin Center, EMC 206131. That's we've had activity reports around other workloads, Teams and SharePoint, and even Skype for Business and Exchange. So we've got one there for usage of forms. That's certainly going to be good for administrators, at least, to see at a high level the activity and the usage of forms within their tenant.
I agree. Yeah, and I think Microsoft Forms, I personally feel, I don't know what other people may not feel this way, but I feel like it is a underutilized or underappreciated, I guess I should say, feature, in that, I get questions all the time about, let's fire up a Survey Monkey or whatever, service you're using and do this and this and this. And it's like, well, okay, those services will allow you to take surveys, most certainly. But but that data lives somewhere else. This, using Microsoft Forms, your data lives within your tenant. And also you get those integration points within SharePoint and Power Automate and all those. So I think it's very, even in my organization, it's underappreciated. And so getting this update to be able to understand how it's being used, getting that activity, I think is fantastic.
We see, what sort of columns have we got there in that tiny little screenshot? Number of forms created, number of forms responded to. They're all zeros in this this example, but that's not to say, if we look at the graph there, that I think the blue line is forms usage. Designers and responders. Ooh, yeah. So designers are your blue, responders are your pink. So you would hopefully you'd expect that to be higher. Total green. Yeah, I think I have to sort of take a step back and think, are there features in these other services that we're paying for that we really are using and do or do not need? And perhaps you don't even have this level of analytics to see that. Right. And you're looking at a product like SurveyMonkey or whatever, and you're thinking, yeah, we'll pay this because I love this feature, but nobody else knows about it. Now, that could drive either an adoption campaign to say, go and use it, or reevaluate and think, maybe we could use something that we've already got in a subscription.
Yeah, and just because you use it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing to use. So you were just talking about, hey, I know this service, I use it, everyone else, should be using it too. But maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you use it and you're the only one that finds any value in it whatsoever. So I think reevaluating the analytics after you do that adoption campaign and say, well, no one's still using it, so maybe we shouldn't be doing it at all. But analytics is the key. We've got to know who's using it, who's not, and this whole idea of authors and responders and understanding, because you may only have 5 authors, but have hundreds of responders, and maybe in your organization that's good enough. That's great, and that's what you want for now. So I again, more data is a good thing, and so having more data about what's being used is I'm loving it. And it should be completed by now. So you should be able to go into your tenant, which is one of those, published March 10th. And then we're rolling this out to customers March 11th, and it should be done by March 13th. Oh, thanks for the notice. Appreciate that, guys.
Well done. Well done. Oh, yeah, I'd say last thing about this data, usage data. Get it into the hands of the people that can use it as well. All good for an admin to go, oh, yep, sweet, service is up, people are using it. But get it to the people that will go out and help people using this. This is the other reason why. Make sure that your adoption and change management people have access to the Microsoft Analytics dashboard.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to be able to, for the people who are creating it, I just think when you get this analytics information, you need to tell people, hey, there's other people using this. Because I think some people use like forums, but using forums and then maybe I'm the only one in the company doing this, and you're not, so advertise that a little bit. Let people know, hey, Sally over there and Sue and Jane and Mark, they're all using it. You got, talk to each other and come up with best practices. And maybe you could be our help with our adoption campaign and let everybody know how to, all that kind of stuff. Give testimonials and help with all that. And so not just those that are helping with adoption, but also those that are doing and making sure they know who to go talk to, who's using it too. Hey, did you see this new feature? I would like to, let's talk about how we can use it. I'm sorry to keep talking about this it's just forms, but I think this is all data, right? Yeah. Of usage data within the services. So. Yeah,
definitely. All right. Well, this one was one that felt like it was a hang on, didn't we? We talked about this this is the 3rd week in a row now. Updates available for Office 365 Pro Plus, monthly, semi-annual, targeted, semi-annual channels. Released. EMC 206.149. We'll be gradually rolling these updates out to channels starting March 10th. So is it the monthly one they're talking about here, or are they making a bigger deal because it is semi-annual? It sounds like that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, I think so, but it because it's the annual, the semi-annual is the one that is coming up. Yep. The monthly, we get these we get updates every month, and so yes, it is really talking about the semi-annual that's coming. Hey, we're rolling up these updates. Check out the release notes to get your additional information to understand what's going to be there, so you know what to tell people. Again, with your adoption activities with sharing this out with your newsletter of your creators that are using it, making sure that they know, hey, these new features are coming. And, with these updates, especially with those semi-annual updates, they're going to see some big changes.
Yeah.
Right? Monthly changes, we see things change here and there. And over the course of 6 months, we get used to those changes. And it's not very big. It's just gradual. It's kind of the, the boiling of the frog, right? They just turn up the heat gradually while we're in the pot, and by the time it boils, we don't realize
My legs are hot, yes. Oh, yes.
But for semi-annual, it's kind of like they're throwing us in the pot that's already boiling. So they will see the changes and just make people aware, hey, you will see changes that are big, and helping them utilize the product. So.
Yes. Well, I mean, we know the driver for that too is compatibility with other in-house systems and things. So we get it. There's a need sometimes to stagger this sort of thing. But yeah, it's on its way out. Well, let's have a look at the next update, which is Outlook Mobile updates to roll out privacy settings. That's MC205983. So this is Outlook for iOS and Android. Privacy controls on diagnostic and related data. Is this getting into any, I guess it is the user experience here.
And
this update,
I feel like a lot of people don't understand what's being shared, and they get a little nervous and scared. We've talked a little bit about this telemetry and how to lock it down before in other products. We've had this conversation before, and I think it was Outlook the last time we talked. I think it was. Anyway, so people just don't understand what's being shared, and so they want an off button. And so this is really talking about how that's managed and how you can control that. But I've seen some of the telemetry data and Microsoft has shared in the past with us, saying, here's what it is, just so you can reassure your customers, this is what we're seeing. It's device settings, it's versions, it's the click to, meaning what was happening to click to make the error, all that kind of stuff, but it's not identifiable. They give it a code, like an ID, so that they can see the actions that ID goes with all these things that are happening, so they can kind of see the experience, but it's not identifying you. It doesn't identify specifically the organization and all that, but some people get nervous about all that, so they want a way to turn it off. So that's what this is all about.
There's a lot that we can learn from just stepping back and not looking necessarily at the person, but what they're doing, how they click, and where they go to. I kind of liken it to some of the stats you get off Google Analytics, where you can see the entry page that someone comes into your site, and what are they doing while they're there, and then as they exit. So that kind of behavior, and for software makers and designers, it's pretty valuable stuff. But yeah, it's just considering it there that it is synchronized from your current settings in office.com. So if you've made a setting to say, I'm happy to have or share some of that telemetry information, then it's now extending to your Outlook on your mobile. Continuing along with another Outlook feature. This is updated. It's blocked file types in Outlook on the web. MC206009. Can we say all of this? It doesn't really translate so well in dark mode. There's some dark figures under there.
It does not. I think we need to call that out. For those, we know there are dozens and dozens of people at Microsoft who work on the Message Center. They all watch our show every week. It's not true, I'm sure. But anyway, I'm sure some of them do. Let's call this out. Hey, when you do certain things in the Message Center, when you're highlighting text or whatever, you got to be careful, because dark mode people use it, like me and Darrell, and
Yep.
the text is not visible. So anyway, so this is blocked file types, right? So this is making sure that you understand what types are being blocked and the update that's coming. And this is rolling out early April, completed by the end of April. So we're not getting a month notice here, but hey, they provide a link here for the complete list of extensions that will be blocked. So right there in the message, we can click that, and it takes us to a tech community. So it's taking us to the tech community page. So what's being added? It looks like there's some Python scripting languages that are being added, extensions for PowerShell. So PS1s, PS2s, those extensions. Windows click once. So that's the experience where you can send a file. It's being able to click that once and it'll run application. So this is a security, right? It's preventing you from doing that. Microsoft Data Access Components, Windows Sandbox. Okay, there's a lot. Digital certificates. So that one's a big one because I get that. I've had to be able to email certificates a lot for helping to make sure web services run well. So just making sure that that those are being blocked. That might be big especially if your certificate provider emails you those in those format. Most of them don't. Most of them make you go download the certificate file. But if just in case you have a certificate, someone's sending you those certificate files, CERs or CRTs, sorry, that those might be blocked. So definitely just check out this list, right, Darrell? There's quite a few file types here.
What I do like though is the message center message does make the point that these blocked types are rarely used, so they're highly unlikely that they will affect your organization. But do make the time to check it out, and if you anticipate anyone who has a legitimate need for sharing these files using these file types, then you'll need to find another method for doing so, which you probably should have been using anyway. Ooh, what's that? Was that scolding? Darrell scolding? You should have been doing that anyway. Come on now.
Should have been.
Come on. The updated feature, Microsoft Secure Score Improvement Action Updates MC206238. I think that this Secure Score has been really good for organizations to measure themselves and to start taking action. We talked about it a bit during the virtual hackathon for preparing to work from home, and Alistair and Alex, that's Alistair Pugin and Alex Fields, they came up as being the two owls. That was nice. They used that as one mechanism to quickly go through and say, well, what is it that we should do to try and alleviate and fix before we have to start working from home. And there's some updates to that, some updated, improved actions.
Yeah, it's really, I think, if you just read the message, you're not getting the full picture here. So you definitely need to check the additional information, because it's saying, hey, we're going to, if items are not accurately impacting the score, then we're going to remove those items or modify those items, those rules. Sorry, that's right. So I equate this to something like, for all those SharePoint admin people out there who have SharePoint on-prem, you would go to the admin center and it would, you go into admin and it would have this bar up the top, red, all these rules failed. And you go in the rules and you're like, those are not even applicable to me. It's the same thing for Secure Score. Things like mailbox delegation. If you are doing that, well, your Secure Score goes down. Well, maybe that fits what I need to be happy. Like, why is that making my score go down? Well, they're removing it. So listed here, and you're showing that on the screen, is several things. Allow anonymous guest sharing links for sites and docs. So this is one we have talked about before. And in fact, in a workshop that Drew Madelung and I have done several times, at conferences, we talk about effective sharing within your organization, and this is actually a point. Hey, did you know that if you don't allow anonymous sharing in your organization, your secure score goes down?
If you don't.
And that's why, if you'll see they're actually removing that. Allow anonymous guest sharing links for sites and docs. That means they're removing that from the score. Okay. And the reason why was that Microsoft said, and this is why to address this, they said, if you don't allow anonymous sharing, then people are going to anonymously share other ways. And they're going to email the doc, they're going to go to Dropbox, they're going to go wherever to share that document. And so if you allow anonymous sharing in OneDrive and SharePoint, then you are keeping it within your tenant, and you can see that they're doing it. Because if you don't allow it, they're going to go elsewhere. Well, I actually like that explanation. However, it's being removed. Apparently, other people did not like that explanation. But so that's actually being removed from Secure Score. I'm actually kind of sad about that one.
I get the choice as to why you would turn it off. And, okay, so people will find another way, even if it's taking a photo of something on a screen. But, yeah.
I do too, Darrell, but it's one of those decisions. And I guess because I am coming from that, I've been dealing with the SharePoint admin perspective of, I see a warning, but I know it doesn't apply to me, so I'm going to move on. Like, I don't care. Same thing for Secure Score. I know it docked me because I'm not allowing anonymous sharing. I'm just going to move on. So what?
Yeah.
Right? But now they're actually going to remove it. So now for organizations where it actually would have an impact, where organizations need to be told this, you need to be educated that if you're not allowing anonymous sharing, then people are sharing. Because have you turned off email? Because if you haven't turned off email, then you're allowing anonymous sharing. So, I mean, come on, people. This is so. I don't like that one removed at all. And then the last one that's on the list is configure expiration time for external sharing links. I think every organization should have expiration time for external sharing links. If you're sharing something external, you need to have an expiration.
Well, that's got to go with that anonymous sharing thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah, exactly. And they're removing that from the score calculation. I don't like it at all. Maybe this is my soapbox, Darrell. This is for the show. This is my soapbox one. I don't like those.
Soapbox.
Yeah. So, anyway.
It's voting for the masses, I guess, as to which is the most popular choice. Oh, hey, and I wish I had set up show the chat in the chat room, but Joanne saying, yeah, she agrees, likes enabling anonymous access, but don't allow it for confidential docs, etc. And expire the link. It partly comes down to user education. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a policy? And maybe there is. Joanne will find it. She knows.
Yeah, that's right.
That if there's some kind of confidential label, then it doesn't allow you to use anonymous sharing.
Yeah, most certainly. And the way we did this before, in the old school way, before we can manage it that way, is you would create a site collection that has it turned on, and then your intranet doesn't, right? And so on your SharePoint over here, on this site collection, then you allow that anonymous, and it happens. Now, I get it for OneDrive because there's not separate. You can't really separate out in OneDrive, but having those labels of making sure that that would happen, and I'm sure Joanne's going to. In fact, I'm pretty sure she has posts on this already, so check out her website.
Just a quick one here around Yammer. New feature, native mode alignment tool for Yammer now available, MC26406. Can't say I've spent a lot of time looking at this, but it seems to be significant around helping people transition from the Yammer network that you might have created before you were part of Office 365 and transitioning into making it native mode for Microsoft 365, so you can get the Office 365 group and community aspects of Yammer and Microsoft 365 going. So do take a closer look at that if that affects you. That the journey has been made easier, And I think just finishing off was a perplexing message. Perplexing. And even in dark mode, you don't see this in my list, or maybe I'll just branch out to there. Here we go. We have icons beside our messages. And, the last one there, it has this, actually it's the classic Yammer icon. They should change these. Likewise with Exchange, etc. But this one has a Teams icon beside it.
It does.
And it is awareness of Microsoft 365 temporary feature adjustments, EMC 206581. But what is this about, Daniel?
Well, frankly, not about much, because they haven't put very much in this announcement. And this announcement is the most bare bone announcement that I think we've seen in a really long time. And not only that, not only does it lack, words, it lacks candor, it lacks details. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen in the Message Center. So this one, 206581, is about they're changing services. And I guess it's Teams, but it doesn't tell us that. Yep. The only indication is we have that icon that you're pointing out. And it's saying we're going to make temporary adjustments to select non-essential capabilities. Now, who determined that these are non-essential? Well, that's Microsoft, I guess. But it may be essential to you, but we don't care. And they don't expect these changes to have significant impact. Examples of changes we may make include. So examples, meaning this is only a partial list of things we're going to do. And then we may do it, which means even this partial list may not happen. We don't know which ones we're going to do. So this is it's not specific at all.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going on with this message. So that they may change how often we check for presence. So are you in Teams or not? Are you in a meeting or not? The interval in which we show when the other party is typing. So remember, we have that indication of when someone's typing in Teams. And then video resolution.
What?
So we may change your video resolution. And so it says we will provide further updates to this Message Center post should the situation change. So this, I'm going to stop talking because this one just makes me mad. But
I'll tell you what.
The one thing I'll say,
yep.
Just like the one thing here we need to keep in mind is we cover the new announcements that are made in the Message Center every week. Subscribe to our show, you're going to hear about them. But what this means is whenever you see this come up, it's being updated, you need to check it. Don't just check the new ones, check this one too, because it's going to be telling you more information, hopefully.
Yeah.
They're talking about this being about unprecedented times. This is really about, all these people working from home or working remotely using Teams. And I'm thinking this is about capacity. I equate this to like your mobile phone provider saying, you have unlimited data unless it's congested, and then we're going to speed, reduce your speed. Anyway,
look, when I glanced at this, I wouldn't have got all that meaning from it. So I think what helped, if I can talk about this from a side perspective, when you're going through the Message Center, it does help to talk with another person in your team to try and make sense of something, to get the right meaning and understanding of it. Because Daniel, you have helped me today. You've helped me understand what this means. We are pushing the boundaries with some of our systems. It's got to be talking about Teams because it's talking about presence, online presence, and typing and video resolution. So all of those sorts of things that are probably monitored during a call, they take resources, and it looks like Microsoft needs to trim back some of those resources so that they can put them into the real-time experience that everyone's expecting as they work from home. Will we see more of this? Maybe, because it's not the whole world that's working from home yet, but it potentially could be.
Well, and I think, this is one of those cases where they have been bitten by their own success. Now, some of that success may be that has been brought on by external factors with, what's going on. But Microsoft giving Teams away for free for what, 6 months? I think it is. I think it's 6 months. Maybe it's till July. I can't remember. June, July. So giving away, the service for free for people to use. Even the adoption for Teams was astronomical anyway. The curve was astronomical, but it is there's a lot more people using it, so they're going to see some of these strains. I think it's interesting. I don't like the way they communicated it. I don't like the way it's being framed up. I think they got it out as quickly as possible to say, hey, we may need to make changes. I get that. But, from administrative perspective and helping our users understand the product and be okay with changes, we need to know what those changes are before if you're going to reduce video, and video is going to look like junk, right? Because, it's taking up too much bandwidth. We got to know this thing. Our users start using it and it's all pixelated. Well, and that's just an example. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying we just need a little bit more detail. That's all.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of those messages for this week. I'm glad that we did throw this together. I know we're going to get back to MVP Summit and a virtual MVP Summit and participate. There's a lot of good stuff that we're hearing there that, of course, you won't see until much later on. But we... thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those who joined us in the chat room. We've got, Joanne Klein and Sarah Huzzy and who was Wim SQL again?
Arlene.
Hello Arlene, and thank you to others who are watching and checking things out as well. You know where to find the podcast version of this too, so it's go.messagecenter.show and you'll see all... No?
It's messagecenter.show.
Oh, messagecenter.show.
Messagecenter.show is how you get to the audio podcast, but there's also a link to the YouTube channel from there as well.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have another episode for you next week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.